excited about next week a little bit. So let's jump into this weekly rant, and then we're gonna close this thing on out. So before the Super Bowl started, we heard rumblings and snippets of the stories that Andy Reid's his son, Britt Reid, got into a car accident. Was it the day before or the day of the Super Bowl?
I think it was the day before.
Day before, and it turns out that he was drinking and driving, and the accident led to a 5-year-old child being severely injured.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things that really disappoint me now that I know the full story is how it was downplayed because of the Super Bowl. Because if you're going to report it, report it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't report it and try to make it and try to still humanize and not make Britt Reid look like he did something wrong. Britt Reid was drinking and driving, and from my understanding, Mothers Against Drunk Driving are on the NFL's ass, Andy Reid and Britt Reid's ass. From my understanding, from what I read. But for those who really don't know the information, let me read to give you a little more. So, Chiefs assistant linebackers coach Britt Reid was involved in a multiple vehicle crash that injured two young children less than 2 days before the team was scheduled to depart for the Super Bowl in Tampa. Reid, who is 35, who is Chiefs head coach Andy Reid's son, has worked on the team's coaching staff since his father arrived before the 2013 season. The Chiefs confirmed Friday in a statement to 41 Action News that Reid was involved in the crash Thursday night, which left a 5-year-old in critical condition at an area hospital and injured a 4-year-old child. The organization has been made aware of a multiple vehicle accident involving outside linebackers coach Britt Reid. We are in the process of gathering information, and we will have no further comments at this time. Our thoughts and prayers are with anyone involved. The crash happened shortly after 9 p.m. on Thursday on southbound Interstate 435 near Eastwood Trafficway, which is one exit south of the Chiefs practice facility at the Truman Sports Complex. And Grant used to live in Tampa, so you know about this. According to the Kansas City, Missouri police, a Chevrolet Impala that had run out of gas was sitting on the entrance ramp of a stadium from Stadium Drive to I-435. So, because this is the crazy thing. The driver had called family for help, which arrived in a Chevrolet Traverse and parked in front of the disabled car. While attempting to get the vehicle running again, a white Dodge Ram sport pickup truck traveling on the entrance ramp, which Britt Reid admitted to police he was driving, according to a search warrant, struck the left front of the stranded Impala. The driver of the stranded vehicle was inside the car at the time and wasn't injured, but the Ram truck continued forward and also struck the right rear of the Traverse. A 5-year-old child in the back seat of the Traverse suffered life-threatening injuries, and the 4-year-old also in the back seat suffered non-life-threatening injuries, according to KCPD. Both children were transported to a local hospital for treatment. A KCPD spokesperson told 41 Action News late Friday night the 5-year-old remained in critical condition. An adult passenger in the front seat of the Traverse was not injured in the crash. Reid received non-life-threatening injuries, investigators said. This fool hit a parked car on the side of the road. What? Bruh, like, this fool hit a parked car on the side of the road because he was drinking while he was driving, and he couldn't see that there was two cars parked on the side of the road where he need to get over so he won't hit the cars. So I'm wondering what type of real punishment he's going to get. Because, I mean, that's a fireable offense to me. Like, his ass should be fired. You were drinking and driving and hit a parked car on the side of the road and critically injured some children. Your ass need to be fired. I don't usually call for people's jobs, but his ass that's a fireable offense because people have been fired for less.
Mm-hmm. I think the Chiefs' hands gonna be forced. Like, they gotta. That's not something you just be like, we let him sit out or we suspend him with pay or fine him this. You gotta go. You almost killed somebody, bro. You gotta go. You got to go. I don't care.
Get the hell up out of there.
But you got to go.
Yeah, I think like for all organizations that are in the public eye, like sports organizations are, I think a lot of it has to do with what is the results of the transgression that occurs.
Mhm.
You know, when you think about what happened with Ray Rice is not in the NFL is because of the results of what happened in that elevator and people seeing, him throw that haymaker.
Mhm.
And the result, if people see, that the child has, permanent injuries where he's going to be bound to a wheelchair, or if the child actually it comes out and the child actually doesn't survive, being in critical condition, then that narrative, that imagery, is going to force him to be removed from the team and probably from the league as a coach, like forever. Because
I think she came out. She came out of coma. I think, if I
right,
recall, I think she did
Yeah, I
come out.
think she woke up either yesterday or earlier this morning.
Yeah, she did come out.
yeah, I guess the stain for the NFL is that they don't do the right thing until they are forced to do the right thing
Right.
Hmm.
when they
Right.
get all the backlash.
I think that's why Mad has came out the way they did, because I mean, like I said in the beginning, they made it such a small incident in the beginning when they first reported, because they wanted to make sure the Super Bowl happened.
Hmm.
That right there, the NFL. We've said it before. The NFL's priority ain't with morals or none of that. The NFL priority is remaining the number one sports entertainment agency in the United States, or even the world, but especially the United States. Sports entertainment is the NFL's number one priority, not morality, not keeping women safe, not keeping men safe. It's protecting the shield for whatever that means for them, and continuing to play football and not hurting them.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I wonder if, because I think you mentioned in the article about the people in Mad who are mad, no pun intended,
Right.
about the underreporting, and I just wonder if because the NFL doesn't have to report on itself, it's CBS and all
Hmm.
these other media outlets whose job it is to do the reporting on things that happen. And I just wonder if the NFL said that you can't really report on this in any detail, or we not letting you have media credentials in the future. And we want to be able to control the story. I wonder if some of that is what actually occurs because, NFL is the king of the mountain, and you don't want to not be a part of that if you are a news media outlet and you kind of
Right.
just stuck playing the game.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a sad situation. All around. The thing I think about though, um, I just wonder how much did they know though. Um, because I hear what you guys saying about not reporting it. Because I'm just thinking about, because I know when I first heard about it, I thought it was just a crash, like a
Me too.
crash that anybody could have been
Me
in.
too. That's
Right.
why I didn't
So
think twice about it when they first reported.
yeah, so I
Right.
mean, I felt bad for everybody, but I was like, man, that sucks that happened before the Super Bowl. I didn't know it was because he had been, because he was drinking, because
Right.
that totally changes it. Because anybody can get in a car wreck, anybody can get in a car accident.
Hmm.
You don't have to be drinking for that to happen.
Hmm.
But if you were drinking and then you decide to drive, you knowingly putting not just yourself, but everybody that's out driving in that area, you putting them at risk.
Right.
um so that completely changes it. And I know law enforcement was involved. So I mean, I just wonder how much did people know about the seriousness of it.
That's a good
um
question.
and everything like that?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I'm inclined to think that they have a lot more resources. So
True.
especially not necessarily the NFL at that time, but the NFL do have more resources. But the news outlets, they do have the resources to get more of the information. But that is a good point because even though we know what both of what we're saying are two things that could be true at the same time. That they have all these resources to get this information, but at this time they may or may not have had it. Now, what's interesting though is Britt Reid has a history of being a fuckboy.
Mm-hmm.
So, 2007, he was arrested for pointing a gun at another driver during a road rage incident. According to Montgomery County, Pennsylvania court records, he was sentenced to 8 to 23 months in jail and 5 years of probation on November 1st of 2007 after pleading guilty to charges of carrying an unlicensed firearm, simple assault, possession of a controlled substance, and possession of an instrument of crime in connection with the incident. 7 months after the January 27, 2007 incident, Britt Reid was arrested again and charged with the DUI, controlled substance possession of a controlled substance and possession of drug paraphernalia in August 23rd of 2007. Reid, whose initial bail from the road rage incident was revoked after the DUI arrest, pleaded guilty in connection to the second arrest and received a sentence of 1 to 6 months in February 1st, 2008. He was also fined for more than $10,000 for the two incidents in order to complete drug court, which he did in 2012, and he was paroled in 2008. So everybody can change over time, but he has a history of drinking and driving, and the history of incidents. So, but it's hard not for my next thought to be, well, if he was a black coach, will he still have gotten those chances with this record? So
so let's think about this because the Chiefs aren't too far removed from having to make a decision like this.
With Tyreek Hill.
Exactly. That Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt. And as soon as they got the information, he was gone. Now you add in the dynamic of this being the coach's son. If you keep him around, what does that say about your organization? Like, what does that look like? I don't think that's a good look. That's why I say I think he has to go.
Yeah.
And from that perspective, has Britt Reid actually coached outside of working for his dad?
Well, they say he was on the Chiefs staff before Reid got there.
Okay.
So, but still working under
he
your
probably
dad.
had a job in the NFL because his dad is Andy Reid.
Right. Because my daddy, Wallace Ward, can't get me no NFL job. So.
He might come. He might have been a coach, but he might be able to get in that business.
He wanted to be on the chain gang, holding the down, Marcus.
Bad me in there cutting grass, man.
Security,
So then y'all have a law service?
Yeah.
Law service.
Hey, yeah, we did. Hey, we don't want to talk about that.
We don't want to talk about it, bro.
We failed.
Hey, Doc, he gotta go, man. I mean, it'd be bad enough if it was just this one incident, but if you talking about a history of making these kind of choices, which I mean, I don't understand in this day and age how people keep continuing to have DUIs. I mean, it's so many ways to avoid it nowadays. It don't make sense. Like you can pre-plan an Uber before you even start drinking. That's what's crazy about it. So like you can't even say I was too drunk to call an Uber. You can tell the Uber, you need it beforehand. So
well, the problem with repeat offenders, who get DUIs is they most likely have mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something that a bartender can diagnose when they come into the bar or the restaurant.
Right.
And that's just unfortunate. If the individual doesn't decide that they have a problem or they don't decide that they need to seek out help with the addiction that they are, denying that themselves, then we're going to continue to have these incidents, and it's just unfortunate. And what the NFL has the opportunity to do is to bring greater awareness to it. And from their perspective, it sucks that we have to, or people expect us to be the advocate for everything wrong in America all the time because somebody within our organization committed a crime, which is the same crime that somebody commits in almost every organization across the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But all in all, fire his ass. Because I mean, look, man, you hit a parked car, so you was faded. You was faded to because we've all driven long distance on the highway. We didn't drove on this road that he on. We didn't drove on that, and we all know to hit a parked car on the side of the road, you got to be tripping. You got to be tripping. He was faded, and that's why like all the factors that we said go into that. So Reid, you tripping. You tripping. You need your ass whooped, and you need some rehab.
Yeah. Both of those.
Both of them.
You ain't driving no more.
Nah, bruh. Nah. So, second part of this is Herschel Walker, man. We're back on him again. We're back on Herschel Walker again. Because Herschel Walker now, in his attempt to be a better pet for the white people that he want to love him, he's now speaking out against a bill that could potentially open up more doors for reparations for the descendants of slaves in America to happen. Our ancestors, his ancestors. People, before I even read, people like that are funny. I'm not saying that you're right or wrong for being for or against reparations, but I always find it funny that these people can always find a reason that black people shouldn't get reparations in whatever way, but they're always for other people getting reparations in any kind of way. I always find that funny. Like your own folk, you're like, nah, we shouldn't get this because of this. But when it comes to other people, well, they should get that because of, like, bruh. But anywho, it's Herschel Walker right now, because right now Herschel Walker is in the space of one of those athletes who he's making it easy for people to say shut up and play because he ain't smart. So let me read. So College Football Hall of Famer Herschel Walker spoke against a bill that purportedly would pave the way for reparations for descendants of slaves during the February 17th hearing. Walker, a supporter of former President Donald Trump, said during a House Judiciary Committee meeting Wednesday that atonement wouldn't help black people.
That's crazy.
House Democrats have reintroduced a bill that would establish a federal commission tasked with studying the impacts of slavery. The impacts of slavery bring readdress to the economic, education, and health disparities that divide the nation along racial lines. The fact that they got to discuss this shit is another slap in the face. But the government must account for its ongoing role in perpetuating, supporting, and upholding white supremacy, said Representative Cori Bush during February 17th hearing on Bill H.R. 40. Walker, one of the several dignitaries. Why is he a fucking dignitary? The bitch just played football. But anyway, Walker, one of the several.
This why? Because he say stuff like this.
And football means a whole lot in the state of Georgia.
So he spoke at the hearing and said reparations are a moot point in 2021 and that race relations are improving. My religion teaches togetherness. Reparations teaches separation. He said in his testimony, slavery ended over 130 years ago. How can a father ask his son to do prison time for a time he committed? All right, so let me address this.
Take your time, brother. Take your time, brother.
First of all, my religion teaches togetherness. Your religion also teaches forgiveness, atoning for your sins. Your religion teach that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't say let's not talk about it until people forget about it. It says talk about forgiveness and atonement for the sins, for the bad stuff that has happened. And for America to exist, for the white people that whose ass is here kissing to have these platforms, somebody had to be the free labor class to build all of this.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not act like America got their wealth through equity. That didn't happen. It was through chattel slavery, which made America the economic epicenter of the world. First of all, reparations ain't got nothing to do with your religion. Clearly, you don't really understand your religion. Clearly, you don't really understand your religion, because if you understood your religion, you would be fighting whatever Nat Turner read. You need to read, because he reading the slave Bible. He definitely reading that slave Bible, man. So y'all got before we read, y'all got any comments on what this fool has said so far, man?
I'm assuming that he is of the Christian belief.
Of course.
Yep.
I mean, the Bible tells you, all that stuff about, love and forgiveness and charity. It also tells you got to pay your taxes. So it's not this fairy tale. It deals with the actual logistics of how the world works. And like many other people who try to ingrain their religion into church and state matters, they pick out the parts that support their argument and omit the parts that are just makes things convenient for them. And it is one of those cases that we saw play out with his unfortunate quotes.
The thing to me is that he said it and it just makes it worse. But I can't stand when people have the argument, oh, it was so long ago, it don't have nothing to do with today. I'm just like, what are you talking about?
Right.
What are you talking about? Like, just use some common sense. I mean, if you go, like, it's white people that's today that's living in houses, that's running businesses that was started by you ask them, hey, how did this business come about? My great grandfather started. My great grandfather couldn't start no business. And it's not because he couldn't, it's not because he didn't have the ability to, it's because nobody was letting him.
Your great grandfather.
Right.
Exactly. Nobody would let him do it. So of course, so now, we got to start from now. When they say, oh, it was 130, and then plus, like, that's not even going to, like, this, you talking about slavery, that's not even going to, like, just like a few years ago when, we couldn't even go into the same colleges, the same schools. So, bro, that whole, it was 130 years ago, it don't matter. Like, it's crazy.
The framing, the conversation, and the language that you use is so important, and can be so detrimental to progress being made, because he basically, when you say stuff like that, you just sweeping slavery under the rug like it wasn't all that bad.
Right. Exactly.
Right, from his comfortable standpoint. From his comfortable standpoint, because of what the black people whose shoulders we stand on went through, he's able to say that in his comfortable state.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you just look at how, whenever the conversation of reparations come up, it is framed in a similar vein that welfare is framed. Is that it's all my tax dollars don't need to be going to people who ain't working, who ain't gonna do nothing anyway. When in actuality,
It's not us.
The group of people who are on welfare by the numbers and the percentage of the population is not black people.
Right.
Right.
But the way that it is marketed, the way that it is advertised, the way that it is the narrative, the way that it is framed, is that it's just a whole bunch of black people who ain't got shit going on, and they just taking all these taxpayer dollars and ain't doing nothing to help out their economic situation. And I think that's the same way that they're framing reparations, is that we're gonna give, if we give these tax dollars to all these black Americans, they're just gonna piss it away and they ain't gonna work.
But that's not your concern. And I'm tired of that. Even if that happens, that's not your concern. That doesn't diminish the point. Even if that happens, it doesn't diminish the point. What was the overall purpose of slavery in America? It was to dominate the land, free labor. You needed the free labor to develop the land, to build wealth, to have access to the resources. That was the purpose of slavery. America became the economic superpower because of slavery. Free labor, cotton, sugar, all these different things. If that didn't happen, there's no telling what the world would look like. We know America wouldn't be an economic superpower. Emphasis on economic superpower. And I get why. I was about to say I don't get it. It's stupid people out here. It's just some people are just stupid. But in this case, the Herschel Walker. Herschel, take off the tap dancing shoes and the white gloves. You're not the WB frog, even though I know you want to be real bad. White people don't like you even more. We've said this before. You are the pet of these people because they're like, you can't even, your own people can't even trust you. We can't trust you. And the thing is that you were saying what you're saying to try to be in good graces with these people, but in all actuality, the damage you're doing is going to hurt you and your people more, even your own family.
Right.
So, listen. All skin folk ain't kinfolk, and we done all heard that before. And it's people like Herschel Walker. People like Herschel Walker are dangerous because he reinforces these negative stereotypes to people who don't care nothing about him.
Right.
Everything he's saying is because he has, like we said, he grew up he played over at University of Georgia. And you know those white alums and all those guys, they've been patting him on the back for years, and they don't got the same ideologies that we have, but they've groomed him and they brainwashed him enough to believe, you know what? You ain't black, you Herschel. You Herschel.
You different.
You different. Like OJ said,
exactly. And Herschel, what he's doing is exactly what they want him to do. You put that one black on the pedestal and let him believe and tell everything he's spewing is exactly what his people is like. It's actually kind of funny, bro, because you can sit here and watch and listen to this guy, and you can look right in the face and you know everything he's saying. He believes everything he's saying.
That's the crazy part.
It's just like the brown paper bag. You know, when the laws changed and they said we can't hang Negroes no more, so I'm gonna separate y'all by skin color and let y'all tear each other down. That's the same thing that Herschel Walker is doing.
He has it mastered. He has it mastered. And it's every time he come out, we just waiting for him to say something stupid.
Yeah. It's like
it's ridiculous.
It's like if to help people wrap their mind around it. If you read the book or watch the movie Uncle Tom's Cabin, two central characters, Uncle Tom and Sambo. Now, in the rhetoric that we use, if we talking about the context to the actual story, we use the word Uncle Tom
incorrectly, right?
Because Uncle Tom was the hero,
right?
There's Uncle Tom and then there's Sambo. Sambo is the sellout. Sambo is the one who's going to go above and beyond to do anything to get white people to like him and to be fair to him, so he got a comfortable place within this bullshit that's going on. That's Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker isn't an Uncle Tom. He's a Sambo, because he's the person who's willing to destroy his own thing to be in the good graces of other people. And that's a dangerous Negro. Like you just everybody's and I'm mad that people didn't know the story already, but Judas and the Black Messiah just came out, and more people learned about Fred Hampton's story, even though the internet been around since the early 2000s. All you have to do is Google it. But anywho, Fred Hampton's story is around. They're learning about the character William O'Neill. I've always had a William O'Neill rule, which you got to be careful about who you associate yourself, especially if you're part of trying to uplift black people. You got to be careful who you associate yourself, because there's a history of black folk like William O'Neill and Herschel Walker who will either, in a William O'Neill case, infiltrate, pretending to be a part of what you got to help tear it down, or on the outside, just be, hey, I'm with them. I'm with these white folk. That's me.
And that just goes back to the framing that I was talking about. When we were growing up and we first heard about the Black Panthers, it was framed as they were like the Black Ku Klux Klan.
Right.
We out here trying to kill white people, and that was never what it was about.
Right.
So the organization only happened because they wanted to protect their lives.
I mean, that's why I think black people need to really understand, have a better understanding of how propaganda is used, what propaganda is, and how we sometimes negatively use it against ourselves. Because there are certain times to have certain conversations. So certain topics and things we need to talk about, but we don't need to hit record when we talk about it, because everybody should be privy. But that also goes back to a lack of code of conduct, because when you don't have a code of conduct and people following the unified code of conduct, you get folk like this that say, hey, well, I don't see any benefit in being united with these people, because hey, these people over here have always given me what I needed, not understanding if you couldn't run, jump, or catch, then white folk wouldn't be fucking with you.
Yeah, it's like, it made me think about when that time when Lil Wayne was on Undisputed, and he said that thing about like, well, I ain't never seen no racism.
Oh, yeah.
He lied. He lied.
Like,
you grew up in New Orleans and you ain't seen racism.
Lil Wayne is on record.
No doubt, you got it.
Lil Wayne is on record talking about experiencing racism.
Yeah, but he said that because he felt like that was what white people wanted to hear.
Right.
And that's just it, like Herschel Walker. I mean, it's different in that he's probably, because like you said, because he was so great at football, he was, for lack of a better term, accepted. So to him, it's like, I don't know what these black people talking about. White people always treated me great. So no, white people are great. I don't understand what you guys are talking about. So it's crazy, man.
And Herschel Walker, he's even more fortunate because Georgia ain't really been that good since he left. That was the last time they won the national championship. They had won, 3, 4 more national championships,
He'd probably
then
be irrelevant.
he'd just be, oh, he's that running back from the 80s that won a championship.
But
He's their last hope of, that ultimate success in college football.
and it
He's
was
gonna
funny.
he's going to continue to be revered that way.
And he's more revered in college football than in pro football as well.
Yeah.
So
What's I guess what's even more surprising to me, especially at Herschel's age, it's not like he was that far removed from you know.
That's true too, man.
I don't. For me, I can't wrap my mind
Cognitive
around
dissonance.
that. You know,
Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, because it was probably 15 years ago that black players couldn't even play in the SEC.
and that's why it's so weird. It's so weird for me. I'm like, they really have there's a larger sector of players, I would say players that, since we're keeping it related to sports, who do think like that. And shockingly, they're around his age. I've had conversations with people like, huh? Like, what? Where are you coming up with this stuff?
Right.
But they also, got to do this for the white man, do this for the white man. The white man ain't going to let me do this. So that, man, WWB, man.
Right. What you finna say, Sam?
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, that Doc, that's a good point, man, because that's surprising. The things he's saying, it sounds like something you would hear from like a 20-year-old. Because I mean, you could even think about, like when you're younger and you hear about the things that older black people would say, and you don't get it, but then as you get older, you start to understand. So yeah, the things he was saying, like I said, it just seems like something you would hear from a 20-year-old that hadn't really,
Right.
all their lifetime things. Well, okay, it's not perfect. Things have been good. So yeah, it can't be that. It can't be this big a deal. It was so long ago.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that I think this might be Herschel Walker's fourth time in my weekly rant behind this dumb stuff he's been saying, and it's crazy.
No more time. Don't give him no more time.
He like a guest host on your show.
Exactly.
No more time, bro.
Exactly. Like, I can't think of one single player that has been more times than Herschel Walker. But it's crazy. But we understand